In this first lesson on shell chords or shell voicings, we're going to introduce you to sixth string and fifth string rooted chord shapes. So, it's an interesting thing to know. It helps you, particularly if you're playing jazz or certain styles of pop music, to know these chords. So, let's just get to it. But wait, press that red button down there in the corner and you'll be subscribed to Outsmart Your Guitar. Hit the notification bell and you'll be informed when new lessons are posted, which is usually about once a week. Outsmart Your Guitar is also on Patreon. So if you go over there, you can subscribe at one of two levels and become a patron to support my efforts to continue providing you with high quality lesson material to help you learn, play, and grow to become the guitar player you always wanted to be and to play the music you love. Sound good? All right, let's get on with the lesson. Before I actually begin this series, I want you to be clear. I'm making an assumption that you know how chords are put together, how they're spelled, right? Just as words have a specific spelling, so chords have a specific spelling, which is to say they're made up of specific intervals, 1, 3, 5, 7, for example. That spells a major 7 chord. You should know that. And so you should know that about most chords, how they're put together or how to figure them out. All right, so if you don't know how to do this and you don't understand that, then go over to my series, How to Build Chords from Scratch. It's a 4-part series to help you learn how to build chords based on the 6th string, 5th string, and 4th string root. In lesson 1, you have the written material that you will use through all 4 lessons of that series. So do that before continuing with this, all right? Okay, for the rest of y'all, let's get going. Okay, what are shell chords? Well, shell chords, in their very essence, are just 3-note chords containing the bare essence of the given chord you're playing. For example, if you're playing a major 7 chord, which we'll do here in a second, you just need the essential information. Well, what is the essential information? Well, a root tone, that grounds the chord. The 3 tone, that tells you it's major, not minor. And then the 7 tone, the natural 7 tone. These 3 notes give you the sound of a major 7 chord. When you're playing in a big band situation or a combo that has 5 or 6 instruments, things can get real muddy real quick. Shell chords are a way to help avoid contributing to the muddy sound of the music by reducing what you're playing to its essential elements to help make a nice, clean sound. Okay, so let's take a look, and it'll be much clearer if we just kind of walk you through it, okay? All right, let's walk through these chords one at a time. Let's start with the major 7. A full bar major 7 is played and sounds like this. Very beautiful, big chord, right? Now, it's a bit busy, so jazz players tend to remove this 5 tone right here and just play that 5 tone because you don't really need 2 5 tones. You have a little bit more focused sound. Now, for shell voicings, we remove the 5 altogether and preserve the essence, the 1, the natural 3, because that gives us the major information, and the natural 7, which helps identify it as a major 7, of course. Very focused, but when you're in a combo situation, you know there are other instruments that are defining other elements of the chord, so you don't need to, right? Okay, now let's look at the dominant 7. Dominant 7, as you know, played like that. Now jazz players, again, will remove this 5 because we have a 5 way up here, right? Still has the essence of the dominant 7 chord sound. Now for shell voicings, you further remove all 5s. I change my fingering because that's how I'm comfortable with it. And so we have no 5 at all, but we have the essence, the 1, the 3 to keep it major, and the flat 7 to tell us it's a dominant 7 chord. Pretty straightforward stuff, right? Okay, now a major 6 is played like this, or you can look at it this way, right? Big chord. And yes, that's the chord the Beatles used to end the song in their earlier stuff. Okay, but we're going to go to this voicing, and we're going to remove the 5 yet again to leave us with the essence, the 1, the 3, and the 6. Now, you can call this a major 6, or you can call it a dominant 6. It's up to you, because they're spelled exactly the same. And you have the essence of the dominant or major 6 chord right there. So when you play through all 3 of these chords, something interesting becomes a little bit more evident. Did you hear it? We had some harmonic motion happening as you changed the chords. We have the 7 tone stepping down to a flat 7, then to a 6, back to the flat 7, back to the natural 7. And that's another feature that you can highlight in using shell chords, is to have this kind of motion taking place. It's pretty cool stuff. So what you want to do now is pause the video and practice each of these chord voicings. Figure out what your fingering is. If you want to go to your naturals, your dominant 7 using your first, second, and third fingers, you can do that, and then just switch your first and second finger for the 6. It's up to you. For me, I'm just a little bit more comfortable playing it this way. So this is why I left the fingering off, so that you can work out what's comfortable for you. And again, I left the fret designation, what key are these chords in. I'm just using A, it doesn't really matter, all right? So practice these up and back and play the progression, 2 beats per chord, right? Just get used to moving between these, and that'll help you get your fingering down if you're not comfortable with these or have never played these before. All right? Then, when you're ready to move forward after practicing this for a few minutes, press play and we'll get to the next group of chords. Let's look at a couple of minor chords here. Now, typically a minor 7 chord can be played full bar like this. That sounds pretty good, right? Now, most jazz players will play like this, and leaving that high E off. In the shell voicing, we remove the 5 yet again and preserve the essence of the chord. The 1, the flat 3, telling us it's minor, and the flat 7, telling us minor 7 is what we're going for. Right? Now, we lower the 7, the flat 7, to the 6, right? And that's it. Now, a minor 6 would normally be played like that. You know, you might not include that and just have those 4 notes. Shell voicing, again, we get rid of the 5 tone and just stand this up over here on the 3rd string, preserving the 1, flat 3, telling us it's minor, and the 6 telling us we're a minor 6. that's the essence. So you can play between these chords. Now, you can just lift this finger off if you want to play it that way. You can do that too, but you want to avoid that 5 tone, so I tend to go with 3 fingers all the way through. It's up to you how you want to fret this. Pause the video, play these 2 chords through and through, right? And have some fun with it. You know, I tend to say, yeah, these 2 chords actually work as a great kind of improvisational bed for soloing. Etc., right? So I've done that at a jam session and people just go crazy with soloing because there's not a lot going on here and it's just a lot of fun to screw around and get warmed up. Okay, again, pause the video, practice these chords, get comfortable with them, figure out what your fingering is. Again, the fret designation is irrelevant. You just play them wherever. It's a 6-string rooted chord. All right? When you're ready to continue, press play, and we'll keep going. All right, now I don't have the written material for what I'm about to cover here because it would have just gotten a little more complicated. But I want you to use your knowledge of chords to start working this out. This being, well, what if I want to play other major chords? Okay, let's start with the major 7, right? Okay, we're just playing that, right? But what if I want a major 13? Well, you've got that, right? So now, what notes do I actually play to create a better sounding 13 chord? Do I get rid of the 3? Yikes. Or do I get rid of the 7, right? Well, the absence of the 7 actually sounds a little better. Wow. Okay. So there you go. Now, here's the other thing you can do. Get rid of the 1. You're just playing a 3-note chord now. You've got the 3, the 7, and the 13. That is an option to remove the root tone altogether. Okay, well, what if you want to play a major or a dominant 7, flat 5? Well, you know you need the flat 7, or excuse me, the flat 5. It would be nice to have the flat 7 and the 3. Oh, so maybe we don't need the 1. So you just play that. You have that option to remove the 1 tone, right? Okay, now what about minor chords? We started with the minor 7 and the minor 6, right? Now here's a cool thing. Let's go to the minor 6, the 1, flat 3, 6. Now, if we were playing a diminished 7 chord, right? You can play just strictly that, the 3, flat 5, and 6, or double flat 7, removing the root. Or you can just play the minor 6 voicing because those 3 notes, the 1, the flat 3, and the 6, or double flat 7, are the same in the diminished 7 chord. We're just leaving the flat 5 out, allowing some other instrument to cover that voice. It's the same idea with just playing this much of it without the root, because we know the bass or the piano will be playing the root, so we don't need to play the root. This is the cool thing about shell voicings. If you're playing in a combo, you can rely on other instruments to cover the missing information. All right? So I thought I'd bring this up and bring that to your attention. So what you can do is pause the video and take the essence of the shell voicings I've shown you and take your knowledge of chords and start looking at other voicings in the major and minor and dominant families and see what you come up with. All right? 3 notes only. Then, when you're ready to continue, press play and we will just keep on going. Okay, let's put all this to work and play a progression. So I want you to pay attention to the fingering that I use here, because this is part of why I chose to use this fingering in general. In this particular progression, these are my anchors. And I switch between the 3rd and the 4th finger depending on the chord. So we're going to start with a C6. We're going to move to a C sharp diminished 7. Now remember, it's the same voicing as a C minor 6, or excuse me, a minor 6. In this case, it would be a C sharp minor 6, but we're calling it a diminished 7 for the sake of what's going on here. D minor 7, E flat diminished 7, E minor 7, E flat 7, D minor 7, D flat 7, back to the C6. And here's what it would sound like. 3, 4. Now you'll notice on the ascent, we went to the diminished chords. In the C sharp and the E flat position. And then in the E flat position on descending, we switched to a dominant 7 chord in the D flat position as well. Now, pause the video and play through this a few times. Get comfortable. Now, you'll notice in my fingering, especially when I was descending, these 3 fingers stayed very engaged for those 4 chords before I went to this. Okay? So, pay attention to this stuff. It's what dictates the better conventions. Now, don't worry about speed, worry about quality of execution. Play this at a tempo where you can manage it nice and smooth, all right? Then when you're ready to continue, press play and we'll keep going. Let's look at 5th string rooted chords now. We're gonna just play off the D chord shape. So you have a major 7. Very nice, 5 notes, happy, happy. Now, we have a 5 here and we have a 5 way over here. You have the 1 and the 3, the 5 and the 7. So let's get rid of our 5 since we're just going to play the 1, the 3, and the 7. That's your essence. Remember, other instruments are playing different parts of the chord that you are not playing, so it's okay. Now, the dominant 7, same idea. Get rid of the 5s, preserve the 1, 3, and 7. And you're good to go. Dominant 6. Well, you've got a 3 and a 3. Get rid of this 3 and just keep the 1, 3, and 6. And there's the essence of your 6 chord. And then you see we have a major chord like that, right? So pause the video, play through these, just give yourself the opportunity to play through them round and round. And play it smooth, do it flowing, Bring in the metronome. I know I didn't mention that earlier, but play with the metronome when you do your exercises. All right? Then, when you're ready to continue, we'll keep going. So press play. Let's look at some minor chord voicings based on the 5th string root. Let's start with a minor 7. Okay, so now we get rid of the 5 tone because we're just going to want the essence. 1, flat 3, which tells us it's minor, of course. Flat 7, which reinforces it's a minor 7 chord. Right? Now, minor 6 is normally played like this. Once again, we get rid of the 5 tone, and we have the 1, flat 3, and the 6 tone for the minor 6. Now remember, the minor 6 is also a diminished 7 essence as well. We have the 1, the flat 3, double flat 7, which is a 6. All we're missing is the flat 5, but the essence is a diminished 7 chord as well. So this chord has 2 identities. Now I also included a minor 9. Now minor 9 sounds like that. We're going to get rid of the 5, and we're going to play the essence. The 1, the 9, and the flat 7. Pretty cool. All right. So here's what I want you to do. Pause the video, practice these particular voicings, and then what I would like to see you do is spend a little time here seeing what other shell chord voicings you can come up with for other chords. Say, whether major or minor, dominant, it doesn't matter. See what other voicings you can come up with on the 5th string root. All right? Then, when you're ready to continue, press play, and we will continue. All right, here we're going to have an exercise where you're going to blend 6th string rooted and 5th string rooted shell chords. And we're going to do this playing the F major scale using chords. All right, so here's what it would sound like. Now I did it up and then I came back down. So you can do that as well. Take your time here. So pause the video and play through this up and back and really focus on your transition between your B flat and your C. Okay? Because that's going to challenge you a little bit. Play this for a few minutes. Bring in the metronome to help stabilize your time. Then, when you're ready to continue, press play, and we'll keep going. All right, so a few exercises here for you to put these in kind of a progression context that you might actually use. We're using the jazz standard 2-5-1 progression. All right, so the circled numbers are the root of the chord. So 6 is the 6th string, 5 is the 5th string, and so forth, right? So you have a C minor 7 for the 2 chord, F7 as the 5 chord on the 5th string, and then back to the 6th string for the 1 chord, the B flat major 7. So pause the video, practice this for a moment or two. Get yourself moving between the 6th string and the 5th string and back to the 6th string in a smooth and flowing way. Remember, quality of execution. So bring in the metronome at a tempo where you can actually play these chords well, moving and transitioning between them, smooth and flowing. All right? Then when you're ready to continue, after doing this for a couple of minutes, press play and we'll keep going. This next progression, again, a 2-5-1, we're going to play E flat minor 7, A flat 7, and D flat major 7. The E flat minor 7 is on the 5th string root, the A flat 7 is 6th, and the D flat major 7 is 5th string. So pause the video, play through this for a couple minutes, get comfortable, right? That's the whole idea. Put it to a metronome, smooth and flowing transitions between chords. Then, after doing this for a couple minutes, press play and we'll keep going. All right, one last exercise. This is going to be a 1-6-2-5 progression. We're going to be alternating between the 5th and the 6th string. We're going to start with the C major 7. I said the C major 7. Thank you. And the A minor 7, the D minor 7, and the G7. Pause the video and practice this for a few minutes. Really get yourself comfortable playing shell chords. Go back through the first 2 long progressions and then these 3 very short progressions and really dig into them and practice them a lot. And get comfortable and start cataloging shell voicings in your mind. Set aside a little folder in your brain. This is the shell chord voicing folder, so that you begin to get these chords clear in your head, that you're able to actually play them at will when and where you want them. All right? Then, when you're ready to continue, we'll wrap things up for this lesson. All right, there you have it, an introduction to shell chords, shell voicings. As you can see, shell chords are basically stripped of non-essential information. The only information contained in them is the essence of what the chord you're playing is, what's required. The other members of the band will provide the missing information, and that's the cool thing here. You don't have to do everything. Let them fill in the blanks, right? So take your time here. Go over the 2 long progressions and the 3 short progressions and really play around with it. And if you want to create some of your own ideas, go for that too. Absolutely. Have fun with this and really begin to memorize the different voicings, the different chord shapes. And just like with regular chords, now start to create a memorization of these so that you can use them when you want or need them. You never know when they're going to be the kind of voicing that you were looking for, right? And that's the cool thing, that you can use these in a lot of different applications. And we'll cover that soon as well. All right? So, when you're ready for the next lesson, it will be there, as will I. We'll see you there.